I think a lot of it is if you don't take that jump, if you don't take that leap, somebody else will.
Hmm.
And then your idea that you had, you're like 5 years down the road. Damn, that was my idea.
Hmm.
Like, why didn't I do that? Look how good. Look
Yeah.
what happened.
I know.
So like if you don't take those opportunities, and once they strike, man, like
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Married to Business podcast. We have a couple of awesome guests this week. Sabrina and Mike Kaylor with Bizarre Coffee in Canton, Georgia. They're here to talk with us about their coffee shop, and they're both married and they manage the business together. So fits right in with what Jen and I do here on our podcast. So welcome, Sabrina and Mike.
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for being on our show. We're so excited to have you. Could y'all tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started?
Yeah, definitely, and it's a pleasure. Thank you for having us on.
Hmm.
So yeah, we kind of started our coffee end of 2019, mid 2019, doing like farmers markets
No,
and
it was in prep. So everything was being planned. We didn't actually launch until 2020, when the farmers markets just had picked back up. But you can go ahead.
okay,
It's okay. Dates are a little
yeah. Dates are
wonky.
wonky when you were just always working.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we would do like farmers markets and breweries. Anybody would let us pitch up a tent and sling some coffee. That's what we did. We just try to get our coffee out there, try to get our name out there, and then we got accustomed to the Canton Farmers Market and got acquainted with the community there. And then there was an owner who owned a restaurant called Great and Plenty, who his business actually started taking off. He didn't have any more time for his passion project, which was that. And then he loved us, loved our vibe, loved our coffee. And then he offered us the shop. And then we bought it from him and then started doing Good Mood Juice from there on out. We've been at this location for 2.5 years.
Yeah, two plus. In
2 years.
December, it was 2 years. We were only doing farmers markets and pop ups for about 6 months. And when that offer came to the table, we went back and forth quite a bit on, are we ready to take that leap and do a full brick and mortar? There was a kitchen involved. We weren't sure if we were going to do food and all these other components as well. Um, and after going back and forth quite a bit, we decided we'll just try. And if we failed miserably, then we fail miserably.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was definitely, and especially at our point in our marriage, we were definitely looking into like buying a house and doing everything like that. So all the funds that we did have saved up, we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to go business or are we going to go house?
We have the
And
same
so,
experience.
Yeah, we
That's
had the
great.
exact same thing. We paused on the house for a few years while we got the business.
mhm.
yep,
So yeah, those are real decisions that married couples got to make if they're in that, or even if you're not, you don't have that income to really fall back on to get a house or any other equipment. Sometimes that's how it goes.
Was there an event or something that really got y'all to take that leap of faith and really get going with the brick and mortar?
I don't think there was a particular event specifically. Having a brick and mortar was something that I always really wanted. I always wanted to own a coffee shop, a coffee company. The doing markets and such was just a way to bridge in, test a brand concept, see if people resonated with the brand, the design, the coffee, and all of that prior. Um, so I really wanted to take that leap. I don't think there was anything in particular. I think we just knew that we had a really great opportunity on our hands, given that we had already kind of been familiarized with the community, and to be able to open up a shop that not only had a small existing customer base, but then plus adding in the people who knew us from the market. It just felt like if we passed up on it, we could be passing up on something that could be really big.
Oh my gosh, your shop is super cute too.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
And we definitely got a lot of pushback from it too, especially since it was mid-COVID, and a lot of people said we were dumb
Yeah.
for doing it, But luckily, it was towards like the end of all the craziness, and people are ready to come out. They're ready to come out and get out of their houses and get that good mood juice in their life. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. Yeah, especially here where we're at. COVID. Everyone was pretty much over COVID come May of 2020. Everybody was
In Georgia.
in
Yeah,
Georgia.
prep it. We are in Georgia. You're gonna get
Yes.
that.
So yeah, everybody was looking for those places.
Hmm.
So how did you guys? what were some key things you guys did to transition from the farmer's market, and then now you bought this business? And I know you've got the roastery. What are some of the things that kind of led to progressed you through those different stages of the business growth?
I think the biggest thing to begin with was how do we get people in the door?
Yeah.
There was existing customers. We were lucky enough to acquire two of the previous employees, so we just kind of came in and we were all hands on deck every day. We were open from what was it?
When we first started was
7:30 to 1:30,
7:30 to
5 days a
1:30.
week
Yeah,
was the
Tuesday
current
through Saturday.
schedule when we first started, and it was just a matter of pinching pennies and saving every dollar that came in. I was still taking clients for my marketing company. He was still working full time. It was just that. As we started to get a little busier, I do a lot of social media. It's my background is marketing. We started to get busier and busier, and as we got busier, we just kept reinvesting that money, getting new equipment, because things, we took over an existing place that somewhat pieced it together as well. So things started to break very quickly, and we realized that we also outgrew a lot of the things that were there prior. So we just were really, really intentional and strategic about updating different things as the cash flow came in. It took quite a while to get to where we are now, but that was just a lot of literally pinching pennies.
That's awesome. What are some of the things you've done to kind of build a brand? You talked a lot about social media. I've been in your store, and I love all the branding that you've done.
Yeah, the good mood juice and the other stuff that you guys have. What's behind all that? Or did you kind of come up with that?
Well, we're weird, first and foremost. We're just weird people. I don't know, it just kind of like all melted together, so we just kind of like put a lot of our personalities into the brand as well. So it's not just like, because Sabrina's super colorful. She's an artist. As you see, the mural she painted, all the art on the bag work, on the
coffee bag.
On the coffee bag is her artwork.
Yeah.
And then we just try to shine our personality and our vibes into the shop, and trying to keep it that way, up light.
Yeah, and as an artist, it was really important for me. Trying to make it as an artist is one feat in its own. And I always knew I wanted to have a career that had art. I found it later in life after I graduated college. I really fell in love with painting and creating in a different way than I had being a kid. And I knew I wanted to incorporate that into a career. And I always knew I wanted to do coffee. That was something that had been on every goal list since I was 18 years old. So it got to a point where I was, when COVID shut down and some of my clients had left, we were selling paintings in our house on Zoom I had.
It was Facebook Live, Facebook Live event.
Yeah,
Facebook Live, okay.
Artwork and all of these things, and I had this extra time to paint more, and I was already working on this brand, and it just everything fit in line. It was just a matter of will people like my art paired with this commodity now, and that's really where the farmers markets came in. It was like we started with 2 coffees and just testing. What are people saying about it? Are they thinking it's cool? Are they attracted to it? And once we knew that they we're like, okay, cool. The name Bazaar with the art really resonates in a way that people can understand, and they're attracted to it. So for me, naming it Bazaar Coffee was intentional, because as an artist, you grow and change, and your style changes over a long time, a lifetime. And I wanted it to be a brand that could withstand changes throughout its life. And having a name like Bazaar Coffee really left those boundaries off. So that's a big part of the brand.
One thing I really love about your coffee is the different flavors that you put in. Can you talk about your process? I know you guys had your own roastery. How do you come up with the flavors, the drinks? It seems like it's all working very well.
Yeah. So he runs the roastery, so we'll touch on that, and then I'll talk about the recipes.
Yeah, so we have the roastery, and me and one of our other employees, Morgan, we do all the roasting. As you said, we started with just 2, and now we've expanded to, I think we have 12 different bags, 12 different types of coffee, including blends, not just single origin. that we've been messing around with. Um, that's been a super exciting and a part of the business I didn't think I was going to fall in love with, and I totally did. It's really exciting being able to test the coffee and different roast profiles, the different region, just to really pull out the flavor notes from each bean, because each bean has its own flavor note and has its own flavor profile to it. So it's not just like, oh, here's some dark coffee, it's dark coffee. No, it's like these dark coffee has oat and cherry and smoky flavor notes to them and stuff like that. And it's really fun honing in on those and really finding the ratio, or excuse me, the roast profile for each bean that we find that we love the most. Like with our Sumatra, typically people do Sumatra as a dark roast. We do ours as a light to medium roast because we find there's more flavor notes in the light roast than there is to the dark roast. So that's another thing that's like really on par with our branding, because we are going to do things that aren't typical. We're going to roast differently than other people. We're going to give you a cup of juice that is amazing. So, and we just really focus and try and test. That's all you really can do.
And honestly, that's my name of the game in everything we do. It's all testing, especially being a new business. Nothing is finite. I tell every new hire who starts with us, you've got to be flexible and adaptable, because what wasn't a thing yesterday could be a thing tomorrow. We are very much in testing mode all the time, and we call our coffee shop our coffee lab, because when it comes to crafting drinks, the recipes are our bread and butter. So crafting recipes is our bread and butter, and we use another employee, or the same employee who roasts with us. She helps me craft everything. I bring a lot of my ideas, she'll bring some of hers. I'm always looking for the next ingredient that we can use in a drink. I swear they come to me in like fever dreams. I'm like, oh, we have to make this. I have to find a way to replicate this flavor. And then I will just test. Some of them are a bust, some of them are amazing. But really it's about going outside the bounds of what you would typically see at a coffee shop. And that's utilizing, baking recipes or cocktails and different things, and adding those components into the coffee mix. And that's been really, really awesome for us. The community loves it. It's always bringing something new and something that their palate's going to be shocked by, but love at the same time.
That's awesome. I can really tell your passion, and it's just hearing you talk, you can tell the coffee is almost like an art form too. You're creative.
100%.
And, if anyone's local or maybe even wants to drive for some good coffee, I love the art in your store and the mural that you painted and stuff. So you can really tell that, like you said, I mean, you wanted to do coffee, you said when you were 18. I mean, you can tell you've built this brand of something you love. I think it's so cool.
Let me ask this. So, Mike, you just recently came on full time.
Yep.
But you guys have both been involved with the business since the beginning. How do you guys manage the marriage and the business? Because I know Jen and I sometimes, we're we learned a lot over the years of us managing a trading company. And sometimes, one of us is just ready to zone out and watch TV for the rest of the night. The other one's like, it's 10 o'clock. And you're like, okay, so for tomorrow, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they're like, whoa. But how do you guys manage that? And, how do you kind of keep the marriage separate, and, or do you guys even try? It's just, you're.
Do you have a rule where you turn it off at 6 or dinner?
Unfortunately, no, we don't really have like a rule. It's like, all right, it's 9:30, no more shop talk. There's always going to be shop talk, no matter what. Even if we did have to dedicate a time to say, hey, for no more shop talk, something's going to happen. We're going to have to talk about it. So it's just like one of those things. It's like, we do go home, we do get to like relax and stuff like that with ourselves. But like a lot of it, it's just like Sabrina will be on the back end doing something on the computer. And like literally just the other night, we were up until 10:30 working on some stuff. And she's like, I know you want to go to bed, but we got to finish this. I'm like, okay, let's finish it. I am tired, but okay. Yeah. It's just, you're always working, especially when it's a new business and it's just the two of us who are running it. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of stress. And, but you just wake up and you power through it. I feel like we have a really good, strong will and a passion and understanding of one another to where we can squash things that happen to come up or something like that. And we can really nip it in the butt before it gets to like a bigger problem or anything.
It's hard though. Being married is really hard. We operate very
Hard
differently.
anyway, right?
It's very hard anyway, but we definitely operate as different humans in business. One thing I say, even prior to him coming on full time, just us working in a vicinity together, meaning the shop and both managing, um, it was really, really hard. There was a lot of pushing back between both of us because we had never worked together. We worked at different restaurants. We always had separate work lives. So to really bring that in was a big barrier. And I feel like, we worked through it and how to address one another when we're in the shop, like,
Yeah.
with team members and everybody else too. You gotta, really have that under control. And I feel like that took a little while. We had a couple years of that. Now that, he's coming in full time, I think it's really just about delegating. And for me, I have no off button. That's a struggle. It's definitely not the way to operate. And in the sense of working whenever. I think that's something that we still have to learn is how to have like a set shut off time and how to be intentional about that. But he's a lot better at coming and saying, okay, like I'm done for the day and I'm going to wind down and have time. And I'll be like, so, hey, and he's like, I really don't want to do this right now. So for me, I had to learn like, okay, well, just because I'm not doing that doesn't mean that he can't. Right. And I should learn to better shut off and enjoy those evening moments, or else it will be 24/8, 7 days a week. I think that with marriage, that can definitely be a hurdle. I think truthfully though, being that we're very opposite people all the time in a lot of different ways, we're very complementary, but it allows for a little bit of give and balance that if we were both the same, it would be too much, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely hear it. He kind of mentioned it, but yeah, after like 9 o'clock, we're just hanging out, watching TV. I'm probably snuggling with our dogs, and we don't have any serious conversations after that.
Yeah.
Kind of turn everything off and get ready for sleep.
Yeah, and as as the business grows, we're able to add that time in. It wasn't always like that. Beginning, yeah. I used 3 days a week. I'd leave the house at 7 in the morning, and I'd get home at 11. And then the other 2 days I'm home, I'd just be catching up on sleep that I didn't get for the other night. So yeah, but it's cool to see as the business grows too, and you get farther down, it gets a lot easier too. You learn about each other. But I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but for us, when we first got started, it kind of amplified and made us address a lot of communication things very beginning, because now you not only are dealing with work, you're not only dealing with your husband and wife personalities together, now you're molding those work personalities, which can be vastly different than the way you normally hang out with people. So
Yes.
those are all different things you have to work through as a husband and wife and in the business.
Yeah, we would, in a marriage, when you're not together all the time, little pet peeves or something, wouldn't bother you that much. But when you're working together, the little things become big things because you're together so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to manage that relationship as well.
For
And
sure.
so then do you guys both manage different you guys are both doing different parts of the business too, right? So you're not necessarily always hand in hand, right? Or you guys have different
Yes.
roles with the business there?
Well, yes and no. So yes, being the fact that I do a lot of the back end stuff. No, because I'm expecting. So what I'm trying to do is teach him how to do some of the things that I do, so that when I take time away, that he'll be able to kind of cover some of the bases of which I cover. He's really, really great with the team. He handles roasting, warehouse. I'm hands off of that whole operation. So that helps me stay somewhat focused on, the brick and mortar and the team and, scaling from there. But yeah, so yes and no, but he's learning some of the back end too. So this is our official first month working together specifically on that. So we'll report back in 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, we did the same thing. as we hire people, we try to have duplicity, more than one person knows how to do certain things because like, what a blessing. You're going to have a baby, but it's like you still have this business that you have to manage too.
Yeah.
Another baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Already have one. There you go.
Yes, Bazaar is our baby.
Bazaar's our baby.
Oh,
and then we've got,
yeah.
Bazaar number 2, and then this human baby as well.
Yeah, so with that, so tell us what's next. What's next for Bazaar Coffee and next for the Kaylors? What do you guys have on the horizon here?
So we are expecting our first child in June, mid-June, which we're super excited about.
Awesome. Congratulations.
I know I am. Thank you. We're having a boy. And then 2 weeks later, we get our keys to our second location, and we get to start renovating that. So we have the baby, and then we get our keys to our second location. And then we're hoping to open up that location by October. So we have about 3 months of renovating.
Can you guys share where the location is, or is that still a secret right now?
Yeah, so it's in downtown Woodstock. We're very, very excited about it. And, I think the Woodstock community is excited to have us. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a little bit of chaos to begin with the newborn and, that whole thing, which is new to us as well.
Yeah.
But I think this time we're even more excited because we get to create the space from scratch that we didn't really get to do the first time, and be more intentional with how we do things. So we're really excited, and we hope to open, 10 more in the next 10 years.
Heck yeah.
Well, that's very cool. A lot of good stuff. And, you guys have touched on a couple of things we talked about in previous episodes. One of them is there's no perfect time to do anything. If you've got an idea, you got a product, you got something to go on, take that opportunity and go, because if you wait for that perfect time to start the business, to have a child, to expand, to do all these things, if you wait for the perfect time, it never comes. You're always finding a reason, it's not right. It should. Yeah. You just got to take it. You got to have faith in your idea and your talents and do that. And it's awesome to see how you guys have grown and the steps you're taking to kind of go down, take that next step of growth. So it's awesome to see that, guys. So yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Very cool.
We're very, very excited, and I definitely agree with you. I think recognizing when an opportunity is at hand is also part of that equation. And I think a lot of times people get opportunities, they don't take them, and they don't say yes because they're scared. And for good reason. Like, you should be scared if there's something that's risky on the plate. But I think that when we take a leap, and I'm definitely the jumper, and I'm grabbing him, like, you ready or not? Like, we're going. And he's gotten more comfortable jumping every jump because, he knows that we'll do what it takes to get to the next. Like, I know that, which is why I'm jumping. But it's about both of us knowing that every time and becoming more confident in taking those leaps and doing it strategically now at this point. But before, I think of seeing the opportunity as part of the beauty and jumping on it when it comes.
I think a lot of it is if you don't take that jump, if you don't take that leap, somebody else will. And then your idea that you had, you're like 5 years down the road, damn, that was my idea. Like, why didn't I do that? Look how good, look what happened.
I know.
So like, if you don't take those opportunities, and once they strike, man, like, there's 7 billion people in the world. Somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you do have to take that leap of faith. And, over the years, Kyle's kind of been, I'd say, more the visionary, and I'm kind of like the nuts and bolts. And I'm like, okay, but what about this? He's like, you're raining on my parade. I'm like, I'm trying to point out things that we're going to have to work through. And I've had to learn to say, like, let me think about it. Let's talk about that. Let's get back to it. Because I would just say no. I hear something, but then what would happen is I'd think about it for an hour or a couple of days, and I'm like, oh, that was a great idea, So I have to preface things so I don't just shut things down. And that, I think in a couple and in a marriage, people come together that are different, but work together and kind of the whole thing. I love that you guys are partners in every kind of way, and you complement each other.
Yeah. Very cool. Very exciting stuff on the horizon. And, next thing you know, you'll be having another baby and open up 3 stores, at the same time. So
We'll see.
That could be down the road. You know?
Definitely a third location.
Yeah, you definitely get that. We've done that with trucking when we first started. We bought our first 3 trucks, and I just remember the immense amount of effort that it took to get those 3 trucks up and running.
Hmm.
And then I think last year we expanded with 10, and that was
Nice.
easier to me. It was easier with the 3, so you get more experience in
Yeah.
and you get those added. It just becomes you're like, wow, this was so much harder when we started, but then now it's but as you build up the brand, as you build up the infrastructure of your business, it gets easier. So
Yeah, we
it's
went-
always a satisfying thing.
Yeah, we went from
100%.
3 trucks to 5 to 8 to 11 to 14 to 17. 20. Yeah, so
Wow.
we have 26 now. So it's
That's
a lot of
amazing.
trucks. But
That's awesome.
I mean, we have to talk about those decisions together, though, and sometimes the timing is different. But like we've all talked about, there's never a perfect time to do anything. You kind of just have to jump in and work it out. I think sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of jumping going on around here, and I am
Even with
definitely the one who's always got a new idea and taking some motion towards it. And they
That's
just look
awesome.
at me like I'm nuts. But everybody follows suit after.
All right. Well, it looks like we're kind of running out of time for today's episode. I want to thank Mike and Sabrina for being on and talking about Bizarre Coffee. So tell us, where can we find you guys? Where can we find your coffee? Any of your branding and T-shirts stuff? You got an online website, or what do you guys have for that?
Yeah. First, thank you for having us on and chatting with us. This was awesome. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate y'all. You can find all of our coffee, all of our merch, all of our deliciousness on bizarrecoffee.com. And then we also have our social medias.
Social media for Instagram, you can follow Bizarre Coffee Company. For TikTok, it's Bizarre Coffee. It's some variation of Bizarre Coffee or Bizarre Coffee Company on all platforms. And you can find us. We're active on pretty much every social platform. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. Thank you for all of our listeners for tuning in. We look forward to more episodes, and you can like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.